right, we have to keep moving.
Before we continue, if you believe our stories deserve to be heard, do me a quick favor. Hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who loves meaningful African tales. Let's keep our stories alive together. The screams inside the mansion were swallowed by the roar of flames. The entire right wing of the house, where the nursery was already drowning in thick smoke. Red-hot embers rained from the ceiling. The marble floors glowed as heat curled through every hallway of the billionaire Morgan estate. And in the middle of it all, a trembling young maid named Amara held the billionaire's only child, 5-year-old Noah Morgan, wrapped tightly in her arms as the fire closed in around them. "Help," she shouted, her voice cracking as smoke tore at her throat. "Somebody help." But no one came. The fire alarms had failed. The security staff were outside battling the spreading flames, and the billionaire boss lady, Vivian Morgan, was stuck behind firefighters who refused to let her run into the burning building. "My baby is still in there," Vivian screamed, fighting against the arms holding her back. Inside, Amara coughed violently, stumbling as another burning beam dropped behind her. She pressed Noah's face into her shoulder, shielding him. "Amara, it's hot," the little boy whispered, sobbing silently. "I know, sweetheart, I know, hold on." The only exit was blocked. The main stairs had collapsed. The smoke was too thick to see through. Her lungs burned, legs shaking. She was just a maid, paid poorly, barely respected, barely noticed. Nothing in her life prepared her for this moment. But now, a billionaire's entire world depended on her. Another explosion rocked the mansion as a gas line burst. Glass shattered. A wave of heat blasted through the hallways. The flames surged toward them. Amara tightened her grip around Noah, her eyes fierce, terrified, yet refusing to give up. Then she saw it. A narrow servant's laundry chute, half hidden behind a cracked wall panel. It dropped all the way to the lower floor. Dangerous, but the only chance they had. She swallowed hard, her hands trembling as smoke began to suffocate the small space. She lifted Noah toward the chute opening. "Amara, I'm scared," he cried. "I know, but you trust me, right?" He nodded, tears streaming. She kissed his forehead quickly and whispered, "Then we're going down together." With one last desperate breath, she pushed Noah into the chute and climbed in after him, just as the ceiling above them collapsed in a burst of flames. They fell, slammed, rolled, tumbled through darkness. Then crash. They landed in a metal laundry bin on the bottom floor, coughing and shaking. Amara wrapped herself over Noah as flaming debris fell nearby. She forced herself up, scooping him into her arms again. "Stay awake, Noah, stay awake." Somewhere above, Vivian's panic screams echoed through the smoke-filled foyer. Firefighters burst through the lower door moments later. "There are 2 victims." Hands grabbed them, pulled them out, dragged them into the cold night air. Vivian dropped to her knees the moment she saw them. "My baby," she cried, reaching for Noah. Then her eyes lifted slowly to Amara, whose uniform was burnt, whose arms were blistered, whose breathing was weak, but whose hold on Noah never loosened, not even for a second. The billionaire mother froze, staring at the girl she had barely given attention to before this night. You saved him," she whispered, voice shaking. Amara opened her mouth to respond, but her knees buckled and she collapsed on the ground. "Amara," Vivian screamed. Medics rushed to her. Noah clung to his mother, sobbing. "Mommy, she saved me. Don't let her go, please." Vivian swallowed hard, her heart pounding as she stared at the unconscious maid who had risked everything for her child. And then the police chief stepped forward with a grim look. "Mrs. Morgan, we found something inside the house. You'll want to see this. It may not have been an accident." Vivian's breath stopped. "Not an accident." Yes, ma'am, the chief said. We believe someone set your mansion on fire intentionally. Vivian's eyes widened. But the biggest shock came next. We also found something else, the chief continued. Something that connects directly to your maid, Amara. Vivian slowly turned toward the stretcher, where Amara lay unconscious. What does Amara have to do with this? Vivian whispered. The chief took a deep breath. And what he said next would change everything. But before he could reveal the truth, a paramedic suddenly shouted. She's crashing. We're losing her. Amara is going into respiratory failure. Vivian gasped. Noah screamed. The ambulance doors slammed shut as medics worked frantically over Amara's fragile body. Vivian stood frozen, still clutching Noah to her chest. Red and blue lights washed over her face as the firefighters continued battling the remnants of the inferno that had nearly destroyed her life in minutes. Mommy, is Amara going to die? Noah whispered, his small voice trembling. Vivian swallowed, her throat tight. No, baby, she won't, she can't. But the truth was she didn't know. The police chief stepped forward again, but Vivian held up her hand sharply. Not now. Whatever you found can wait. I'm going with her. Mrs. Morgan, the chief began. I said it can wait, Vivian snapped, her voice cracking with panic and exhaustion. She hurried after the ambulance, climbing inside before anyone could stop her. She held Noah close as the vehicle sped toward the hospital, sirens screaming across the night. Inside, the air was tense. Amara's breathing mask fogged with every shallow inhale. A medic checked her pulse repeatedly. She inhaled a lot of smoke, he explained. We're fighting to stabilize her lungs. Vivian stared at the young woman who had changed everything in one night. A girl she barely paid attention to before. A girl she hired through an agency because they said she was hardworking and quiet. A girl who had asked for fewer breaks so she could earn more money. A girl who just risked her life for her child. Noah's small fingers found Amara's hand. Wake up, please, he whispered. You promised I'll be okay. I need you to be okay too. Vivian felt a sting of guilt, deep, sharp, shameful. Why had she never seen the kindness in this girl? Why had she never thanked her for taking such gentle care of Noah? When they reached the hospital, Amara was rushed into the emergency room. Vivian and Noah waited in the corridor, surrounded by the cold glow of fluorescent lights and doctors rushing past. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, a nurse approached them. We've stabilized her for now. Her lungs are irritated and she has burns on her arms, but she's strong. She'll wake up soon. Noah hugged his mother tightly in relief. Vivian exhaled a shaky breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. But the calm didn't last. The police chief arrived at the hospital with a folder tucked under his arm. His expression was serious. Mrs. Morgan, we need to talk. Vivian didn't look up immediately. She watched the ER doors, waiting for news of Amara. When she finally spoke, her voice was flat. So talk. The chief opened the folder and pulled out a small metal object sealed in a plastic evidence bag. This device was found in the burned section of the kitchen. It's a timer-based ignition tool. Someone planted it. Vivian stiffened, but her eyes narrowed even more when she read the initials engraved on the side. Ayo, the chief said quietly, this belongs to Amara Obianuju, the maid. Vivian blinked, confused. That doesn't make sense. She has nothing like that. It was found inside her cleaning trolley, burned but traceable, and there's something else. He handed Vivian a piece of paper, charred around the edges. This note was found near the ignition point. Vivian unfolded it. The writing was messy but clear. You took everything from me. Tonight I take something from you. Her stomach dropped. What is this? She whispered. We're still investigating, but the chief started. Vivian cut him off sharply. Chief, Amara threw herself into a burning mansion to save my child. Why would she set a fire she nearly died in? The chief hesitated. Revenge motivations can be complicated. No, Vivian snapped. You don't know her. Mrs. Morgan, what if you don't know her? Silence fell. Vivian looked at the note again. Her hands trembled. The words, "You took everything from me," echoed in her mind. She had no memory of harming this girl or anyone connected to her. Unless there was something she didn't know. Noah tugged her sleeve. "Mommy, why are they saying Amara did something bad? She would never hurt us." Vivian lifted him into her lap, stroking his hair. "I know, sweetheart." But she wasn't so sure anymore. A doctor approached them then. "Mrs. Morgan, she's waking up. You can see her." Vivian stood, her heart pounding. She walked into the dim hospital room where Amara lay weak and pale, her eyes slowly opening. When Amara saw Vivian and Noah, tears welled in her eyes. "I'm sorry," she whispered, voice barely audible. Vivian's eyes widened. "Sorry, Amara, sorry for what?" Amara tried to sit up, but pain held her down. She opened her lips again. "For everything," she said softly. "I never wanted things to end like this." Vivian froze. "What things?" she asked slowly. Amara looked away, tears slipping down her cheeks. "Mrs. Morgan, you don't remember me, do you?" Vivian stiffened. Before she could answer, a loud banging burst through the hallway. Then a voice shouted, "Stop, don't let her talk." Vivian spun around. A man in dark clothes was running down the corridor toward Amara's room, eyes wild, face twisted with panic. And in that moment, Vivian realized. The fire, the device, the note, the confusion. None of this was simple. And Amara was in far more danger than they ever imagined. The man charged toward the hospital room so fast that 2 nurses stumbled out of his way, shouting for security. Vivian instinctively pushed Noah behind her as the stranger reached for the door handle, eyes locked on the fragile girl lying in the hospital bed. "Get away from her," Vivian yelled. But the man ignored her completely. His focus was fixed on Amara, wild, furious, desperate. Amara's entire body tensed the moment she saw him. "No, no, please," she whispered, trembling. 2 security guards rushed in, tackling the man before he could reach her bedside. He fought violently, thrashing, kicking, shouting at the top of his lungs. "She can't talk, don't let her talk." Vivian grabbed Noah and moved him toward a corner as officers forced the man to the ground. His voice echoed through the room, sending a chilling wave over everyone. The chief burst into the room moments later. "Who let him in? Restrain him now." "Amara," the man hissed, pinned to the floor, "you know the truth. If you say it, everything will fall apart." Amara burst into tears, covering her face. Vivian stepped toward her, heart pounding. Who is he? What truth is he talking about? But the man, sweating, breathing hard, lifted his head and spat out, "Mrs. Morgan, ask your husband, or what's left of his secrets." Vivian froze. "My husband," she whispered. Her late husband, Andre Morgan, had died 4 years earlier, but his business dealings, affairs, and hidden ties had always carried shadows she never fully understood. The officers dragged the man out of the room, still shouting. "You can't protect her. She knows what Andre did. She knows why she was hired. She knows everything." The door slammed shut. Silence. Then Vivian slowly turned to Amara. "Answer me," she said softly but firmly. "What does my husband have to do with this?" Amara wiped her tears, shaking with exhaustion. "I didn't want you to find out like this," she whispered. "Not after everything that happened tonight." Noah climbed onto her bedside gently. "Amara, don't cry." Vivian pulled a chair closer, lowering herself until she was eye level with the young woman. "Tell me who that man is. Why was he trying to stop you from speaking?" Amara inhaled shakily. He's my uncle. Vivian blinked. Your uncle? Yes, my mother's younger brother. We used to work on the Morgans' old estate before you married Mr. Morgan. She swallowed hard. Back then, your husband wasn't a billionaire yet. He was still expanding his company, and my family worked for him. Vivian's eyebrows tightened. Are you saying Andre knew you? Amara nodded weakly. He hired us. But when my parents died suddenly in a road accident, my uncle, he started handling our affairs. I didn't know how deep his dealings with Mr. Morgan went until... She stopped, her voice cracked. Until what? Vivian demanded gently. Amara looked down at her hands. Your husband made investments with my uncle, shady ones, illegal ones, things that could destroy a man's reputation if they came out. I overheard a conversation I wasn't supposed to hear. Your husband panicked. He threatened my uncle, and my uncle threatened back. Vivian felt a cold chill slide down her spine. You mean Andre was being blackmailed? Yes, Amara whispered, with my name involved. My uncle forced me to work for you when Mr. Morgan tried to cut ties with him. He said it was the only way to keep us safe. But Mrs. Morgan, I didn't know he would go this far. I didn't know he would try to hurt Noah. Vivian gasped in horror. You're saying the fire was his doing? Amara nodded, tears falling again. He thought if he destroyed the mansion and pinned it on me, the police would dig into Andre's past. It would ruin the Morgan name. He wanted revenge for losing money and power. Vivian's hands shook. The truth was uglier than she imagined. And the device with your initials. He took it from my old belongings. He made sure it would look like I planted it. The room fell into heavy silence. Vivian exhaled, long and trembling, for the first time since her husband's death. The pieces of old suspicions began to fit into place. Andre's secret phone calls, his disappearing nights, his stress, his paranoia. Noah squeezed Amara's hand. So you didn't do anything bad? Amara shook her head fiercely. Never, Noah, I would never hurt you, or your mom. Vivian watched her for several seconds. Then she reached out and placed her hand gently over Amara's. You saved my son, she said softly, not just from the fire, but from whatever mess my husband left behind. Amara's breath hitched. Mrs. Morgan, I didn't mean to bring danger to your home. I wanted to leave the job months ago, but I didn't know how to escape my uncle. He monitored me, threatened me, expected me to help expose your family's secrets. Vivian nodded slowly. You don't owe me any apology. You were trapped, and now you need protection. Before Amara could respond, the police chief opened the door again. Mrs. Morgan, we've detained the suspect. But there's something new. Vivian steadied herself. What now? The chief held up a phone inside a clear evidence bag. This was found in the suspect's car. It contains recordings, conversations between your late husband and Amara's uncle, and one of those recordings mentions a name. Vivian's pulse quickened. What name? The chief hesitated, glancing first at Amara, then at Vivian. Then he said it. Your name, Mrs. Morgan. Vivian's heart nearly stopped. Mine, why? The chief took a breath and answered slowly. According to the recording, your husband was planning something before he died, something involving Amara's family, something he never told you. Amara's eyes widened in fear. Vivian's throat tightened. And the chapter closes as the chief places the phone on the table between them. A phone filled with secrets. A phone capable of tearing apart everything they believed about the man who once held all their lives in his hands. Vivian stared at the sealed evidence bag on the table as though it contained poison. The police chief placed it gently before her, but its weight felt heavier than anything she had carried in years. Amara lay still in the hospital bed, her breathing thin but steady, her eyes filled with dread. Mrs. Morgan, the chief said calmly, these recordings could explain everything. Your husband's involvement, the suspect's motives, even why Amara ended up in your home. Vivian nodded slowly, her heart pounding. Play it. He removed the phone, connected it to a small speaker, and pressed a button. After a short crackle, the first recording began. Andre Morgan's voice, deep, confident, and unmistakable, filled the room. You told me the girl wouldn't be a problem. You told me she wouldn't talk. Vivian inhaled sharply. Her late husband sounded nothing like the charming, polished businessman she remembered. Her stomach twisted. Amara trembled. Then her uncle's voice answered. She still won't. She's loyal to a fault. Just keep paying me my percentage. There was a pause. Then Andre's voice dropped to a coldness Vivian had never heard from him. I'm not giving you another cent. My wife is already asking questions if she finds out. The recording skipped, then resumed. You think she doesn't know? She's not stupid, Andre. She'll learn eventually. And when she does, she'll realize your whole empire sits on one lie. Vivian stiffened. What lie? She whispered under her breath. Andre's voice replied, dripping with anxiety. Don't drag her into this. She must never know. The recording ended. The room fell silent. Vivian looked bewildered, shaken to her core. What was he talking about? What did he mean by one lie? The chief switched to another recording. This time the air changed. Andre's voice sounded different, sad, worried, heavy. About the girl, Amara. If anything happens to me, she's the one person you must leave alone. You owe me that. Amara gasped softly. Her uncle scoffed in the recording. Why protect her? She's just a maid. No, Andre whispered. She's not just a maid, she's... The audio glitched violently, skipping several seconds. Then it ended abruptly. Vivian clutched her chest. He was about to say something about Amara, something important. Amara looked just as lost. I don't understand. Why would your husband protect me? I barely knew him. Vivian turned to her slowly, uncertainty clouding her expression. Are you sure, Amara? Are you absolutely sure you never met Andre Morgan before you worked for me? Amara shook her head. He visited the mansion only twice while I worked there. He barely looked at me. Vivian leaned back, overwhelmed. The chief cleared his throat. There's more. Files being recovered from the burnt section of your home. One of them is a sealed envelope addressed to both you and Amara. Vivian froze. Addressed to us together. Yes, the chief said. It was hidden inside a locked drawer in Mr. Morgan's private study. Before Vivian could respond, the doctor entered the room. Mrs. Morgan, may I speak with you privately? Vivian followed him outside. The doctor closed the door gently. It's about Amara. Vivian's heart jumped. Is she getting worse? No, she's stable, but there's something unusual on her medical file. What do you mean? The doctor hesitated before explaining. Her blood type is extremely rare. Only 1 in several million have it. And what's more interesting, your son, Noah, has the exact same rare blood type. Vivian frowned, but Noah inherited that from Andre. Yes, the doctor said softly, but statistically, the chance of a maid, unrelated to your family, having the exact same rare type is nearly impossible. Vivian's breath caught. What are you suggesting, doctor? He didn't answer immediately. Then, voice low, he said, Mrs. Morgan, are you certain your husband had no other children? Vivian staggered slightly, gripping the wall. No, Andre would never. But even as she said it, her mind replayed fragments of the recordings. Andre pleading for Amara's protection. Andre terrified she would talk. Andre saying she wasn't just a maid. And the one lie he didn't want her to discover. The doctor added one more blow. If Amara and Noah ever needed a transfusion, they would be compatible, perfectly compatible, which is only likely if... Vivian whispered the end of the sentence herself. If they share a bloodline. Her pulse hammered. Her knees felt weak. Inside the room, Amara watched her through the glass window, tired, frightened, and utterly unaware. Noah waved at her gently. Vivian's throat tightened. If Andre had another child, if that child was Amara, if he had kept this secret for years, then everything, the hearing, her uncle's involvement, the blackmail, the fire, took on a whole new meaning. Vivian re-entered the room slowly. Amara turned toward her. What did the doctor say? Amara asked. Vivian sat beside her, searching her face carefully. Amara, she said quietly, there is one more question I need to ask you, and you must answer honestly. Amara swallowed. Okay. Before your parents died, did they ever mention anything about your real father? Amara froze instantly. Her eyes widened. Her lips trembled. Vivian leaned closer. Because I think Andre Morgan may not have been a stranger to you after all. Amara's voice shook as she whispered. My mother, she told me something before she died. She said my real father was a wealthy man who never knew I existed. Vivian's breath stopped completely. Noah looked between them, confused. The police chief stepped forward. Mrs. Morgan, if this is true, then Amara may be your husband's daughter. The room spun. But before anyone could speak again, a nurse ran in breathless. Mrs. Morgan, the suspect escaped custody. He knocked out 2 officers. Vivian shot to her feet. The nurse added, panicked. And he was last seen running into this building. Amara gasped. Noah clung to his mother. Vivian turned toward the door, heart racing. Because the man who tried to kill her child, the man who set the fire, the man desperate to silence Amara, was now somewhere inside the hospital. And he wasn't finished yet. If this story is already touching your heart, please take 1 second to like this video, subscribe to Black Race Tales, and turn on notifications. Your support helps us keep telling these powerful African and Black community stories to the world. The hospital's corridor suddenly echoed with the shrill sound of emergency alarms. Nurses rushed past in a panic, doctors abandoned desks, and security officers sprinted toward the stairwell. Vivian instinctively wrapped her arms around Noah, pulling him close to her side. Amara's breath came in short, terrified gasps. He's here for me. Vivian turned sharply toward her. He's not taking you, not after everything you've survived tonight. The police chief barked orders into his radio. All exits sealed. Units sweep each floor. Suspect is armed and dangerous. Repeat, armed and dangerous. Vivian blinked, armed. The chief nodded grimly. A guard's weapon is missing. Amara covered her mouth, trembling. Vivian's instincts sharpened. We need to move her. Now, keeping her in this room is too dangerous. The chief turned to the doctor. Is she stable enough to move? The doctor hesitated. She's still weak, but staying here is riskier. We'll move her to the secure isolation ward, reinforced doors, restricted access. 2 nurses brought a mobile stretcher. Amara winced as they lifted her carefully. Noah held her hand as long as he could before the doctor gently pulled him back. It's okay, sweetheart, she whispered. I'm okay. But her voice shook. Everyone knew she was okay, not physically, not emotionally, not with her uncle hunting her like prey. Security positioned themselves on all sides of the stretcher as they began rolling Amara down the hallway. Vivian walked beside her, refusing to be left behind. Noah held her dress tightly. The hospital felt colder, darker. Every corner felt like a hiding place. Halfway down the corridor, the lights flickered. Twice. Then again. The chief muttered, he's tampering with the electrics. He's trying to create blind spots. Vivian's grip tightened around Noah. Suddenly, A loud metallic crash echoed from behind them. Everyone froze. The chief drew his weapon. Move, move. The lights flickered again. Then the long hallway abruptly plunged into near darkness. Emergency lights hummed weakly overhead, casting the passage in dim red. Then a voice echoed through the hallway. Deep, cold, familiar. Amara, you can't hide from me. The sound froze Amara's blood. Vivian instinctively stood between the stretcher and the darkness. The chief shouted, "Suspect, drop the weapon." But there was no response, only the soft echo of footsteps approaching. Slow, heavy, intentional. Noah began to cry silently, pressing his face into his mother's waist. Vivian stroked his head, but even she was trembling. The chief whispered to his team, "Form a shield. We need to get them out." But the footsteps moved faster. Then, without warning, a dark figure burst from a side hallway, sprinting toward them. "It's him," a guard shouted. A shot rang out. The bullet struck the wall inches above Vivian's shoulder. She instinctively pushed Noah behind her and dropped to the ground. Screams erupted from nearby rooms. "Get down, everyone down," the chief shouted. Another shot fired, this time crashing into the tray on Amara's stretcher, sending metal instruments clattering across the floor. Amara screamed. The suspect lunged forward, but a guard tackled him mid-run, slamming him into the wall. The gun skittered across the floor. The man roared furiously, twisting, elbowing, striking with unpredictable strength. More guards piled onto him, struggling to hold him down. Vivian shielded Noah's eyes. Don't look, baby." The suspect's eyes locked onto Amara with burning hatred. "You were supposed to disappear," he screamed. "You were never meant to survive." One guard managed to grab his arm. Another pinned his legs. Finally, after a long struggle, they subdued him and snapped cuffs onto his wrists, pressing his head into the cold floor. Breathing heavily, the chief approached him. "Why," he demanded, "why target your own niece? Why set the fire?" The suspect spat on the ground. "Because she ruined everything. She overheard the wrong things. She became a burden, and Andre Morgan owed me a life-changing deal, one that died with him." He glared up at Vivian. "And you're living in riches built on lies. Lies your husband never told you." Vivian's jaw tightened, but she stayed silent. The chief signaled 2 officers. "Take him into a secure holding area, now." As they dragged the suspect away, he shouted one last chilling sentence. "Ask her mother what Andre did. Ask who he really was." Amara broke into sobs. Vivian held onto her hand tightly. "It's over, Amara. He can't hurt you anymore." But deep inside, Vivian felt shaken. He didn't deny the family connection. He didn't deny Andre's secret. And he didn't deny the fire was meant to silence her. Once the area was cleared, security hurried them to the secure isolation ward. Amara's breathing was uneven, but she forced herself to speak. "Mrs. Morgan, I'm sorry. This is all because of me. Your home, your safety, Noah's safety." Vivian shook her head firmly. "No, this is because of secrets Andre kept, secrets that should have come out years ago." Noah leaned toward her. "Amara, I don't care if you're different or if something happened before. I just don't want you to leave." Amara wiped her tears. "I won't leave, not if your mom still wants me here." Vivian inhaled deeply. Her emotions tangled inside her. "Amara, whether or not you are Andre's daughter, you saved my child. You protected him when no one else could. Whatever truth comes out, you are not losing your place in this family." Amara nodded tearfully. "But then—" The doctor rushed in abruptly. "Mrs. Morgan, we've analyzed the envelope recovered from your home." Vivian looked up sharply. "What's in it?" The doctor handed her a sealed document. It contains a confession letter, written by Andre Morgan before he died. Vivian's chest tightened. And inside it, the doctor continued, there's a DNA report. Amara froze. Vivian's hands trembled as she held the sealed envelope. Mrs. Morgan, the doctor said gently, the DNA report is between your son and Amara. The air left the room. Amara's hand covered her mouth. Vivian stared blankly at the document. Noah whispered, Mommy, what does that mean? Before Vivian could answer, the chief stepped inside. We haven't opened it yet. It's your choice, Mrs. Morgan, but the truth inside may change everything. Vivian looked at Amara's frightened eyes. Noah's innocent face. The sealed envelope in her shaking hands. The truth was inches away. But once opened, there would be no turning back. Vivian sat down slowly, the sealed envelope trembling between her fingers. The room felt unbearably still. Even the faint beep of the heart monitor beside Amara's bed sounded louder, sharper, like it was counting down to a moment none of them were ready for. Amara stared at the envelope as though it were a snake poised to strike. Mrs. Morgan, she whispered, maybe we shouldn't open it, not tonight, too much has already happened. Vivian shook her head softly. No, if Andre left this behind, he wanted the truth to be known someday. And after everything you've gone through, everything my son has gone through, we deserve answers. Amara's eyes filled with fear, but also something else, longing, a small, fragile hope she had buried her whole life. Vivian exhaled, slit the envelope carefully, and pulled out 2 items. A letter and a folded DNA report. Her chest tightened, but she opened the letter first. Andre's familiar handwriting stretched across the page, steady but heavy, like a man trying to make peace with a truth that had chased him for years. Vivian, she read aloud, her voice trembling, if you're reading this, it means my past has finally caught up with my future. She paused, tears prickling her eyes. Amara held her breath. Vivian continued, I once made a mistake long before I met you, a mistake that resulted in a child I never knew existed until many years later. Amara's eyes widened. Vivian swallowed hard. When I finally discovered the truth, it shook me. I never meant to abandon that child. I never meant to leave her without a father. Her mother hid her from me because she believed my life was too dangerous, too complicated. Only when she grew sick did she tell me everything. The room went silent. Amara covered her mouth, choking on a breath. Andre's letter continued. I met Amara in secret, only once. I promised her mother I would take care of her, but she passed before I could bring myself to fully face the consequences of my choices. I tried to support Amara's household from afar, quietly, discreetly. But her uncle took advantage of the situation. He demanded money, threatened me, and when I refused, he turned the child into his leverage. Vivian's hands trembled violently. Andre's voice seemed to speak through the paper. Vivian, I wanted to tell you. I wanted to bring Amara into our home not as a maid but as family. I never found the courage. I feared losing you. I feared what people would say. But please, do not let my cowardice destroy her life. She is innocent. Amara sobbed softly. Vivian wiped her own tears, even as one last paragraph remained. And Noah, if he and Amara ever cross paths, treat them as siblings. Give them what I failed to give her, a family that chooses love over secrets. Vivian's breath shattered. Her knees weakened. Noah looked from his mother to Amara, blinking in confusion. Do I have a sister? Vivian reached over, pulled him close, and kissed the top of his head. Finally, she unfolded the DNA report with trembling fingers. One look at the result was enough. The paper drifted from her hands. Amara whispered, voice cracking into pieces, Mrs. Morgan, is it true? Was he truly my father? Vivian lifted her head slowly. Tears spilled down her cheeks, but there was a softness in her eyes that hadn't been there minutes ago. Yes, Amara, she whispered, He was. Amara broke down fully, sobbing into her hands. Years of unanswered questions crashed through her, years of wondering, wishing, doubting. Vivian moved to her bedside and gently, carefully, pulled her into a hug. "I'm so sorry," Vivian whispered through her tears. "I didn't know. I should have known. I should have seen it." Amara clung to her, shaking. "I never wanted to cause you pain." "You didn't," Vivian said firmly. "This is not your fault. Andre made mistakes, but you are innocent." Noah climbed onto the bed and wrapped his arms around both of them. "I always wanted a big sister," he said simply. For a moment, the unbearable weight in the room lifted. Three people, broken by secrets, held onto one another as though rebuilding something that had been stolen from them. But the moment didn't last. The police chief returned abruptly, his expression tight. "Mrs. Morgan, we have a problem." Vivian looked up, still holding Amara's hand. "What now?" "The suspect, Amara's uncle, is refusing to cooperate. But during the sweep of the parking lot, we discovered something inside his vehicle." He placed a small brown notebook on the table. "What is that?" Vivian asked. The chief opened the notebook. "It's a list of planned attacks connected to the Morgan family." Amara gasped. Vivian's heart pounded. "Attacks? What do you mean?" The chief pointed to the first entry. "Burn down the mansion, completed." The next entry made Vivian's blood run cold. "Target Vivian Morgan, pending." And beneath that, "Kidnap Noah, pending." Vivian stared in horror. Noah grabbed her arm tightly. Amara's voice trembled. "He wasn't just trying to scare you. He wanted to destroy everything connected to Andre." The chief nodded grimly. "This is not over. There may be others involved. He wasn't working alone." Vivian swallowed. "So who else is coming after us?" "We don't know yet," the chief admitted. "But someone helped him escape earlier. Someone inside the hospital." A nurse rushed in suddenly, panic in her eyes. "Mrs. Morgan, we just realized your security escort was switched during the fire incident. The officer guarding this hallway." She hesitated. "What about him?" Vivian demanded. "He's missing." Vivian's heart dropped. The chief grabbed his radio. "Lock down the floor now." But Amara whispered something that made everyone freeze. "My uncle, he has a partner. Someone who hates the Morgans even more than he does." Vivian turned slowly. "Who?" Amara's eyes filled with new terror. "She used to work for your husband before he died. She said Andre ruined her life. She said the Morgan name must be wiped out." Before she could finish her sentence, the hospital lights flickered violently, then went out. Pitch black. A woman's voice echoed down the corridor. "Cold. Sharp. Deadly. Vivian Morgan, it's your turn." Darkness swallowed the hospital corridor as the power cut out completely. A chilling silence followed, broken only by the distant hum of emergency generators struggling to kick in. Vivian instinctively pulled Noah behind her, her pulse thundering in her ears. Amara gripped her blanket tightly, trembling so hard the bed rattled beneath her. "Mrs. Morgan, that voice, I know it." The police chief stepped forward with his flashlight drawn, signaling his officers. "Everyone stay alert. We have an intruder on this floor." Vivian's voice was low and trembling. "Amara, who is she?" Amara swallowed, fear tightening her throat. "Her name is Selena. She used to work in Andre's private office, his financial division. She was brilliant, loyal, until something happened between them." Vivian frowned. "What happened?" Amara took a shaky breath. "Andre fired her, suddenly. No explanation. I overheard my uncle saying she lost everything, her job, her home, her reputation. She blamed Andre. She blamed the entire Morgan family." The chief's jaw tightened. "So she's the real mastermind." The lights flickered once. dim red emergency bulbs sputtering to life, casting long, eerie shadows along the walls. Then a slow clap echoed down the hallway. Clap, clap, clap. Very good, Amara, the woman's voice purred. You remember me. A tall woman stepped into the weak light. Her sharp cheekbones cast dramatic angles across her face. Her hair was tied back tight, her eyes cold, focused, unhinged. She held a stolen security badge in her left hand and in her right. A gun. Officers drew their weapons instantly. Drop the weapon, Selina, the chief barked. This ends now. Selina smirked. Ends? Oh no, this is the beginning. The Morgans owe me a life, and I always collect my debts. She pointed the gun, not at Vivian but at Amara. A scream rose in Vivian's throat. No. Selina tilted her head. Interesting, Vivian, you're protecting her now, after learning what she is. Vivian stepped between the gun and Amara, shielding her with her own body. She is a child, a victim. She didn't ask for any of this. Selina laughed softly. You think I care? Andre ruined my entire future because of her. Amara gasped. Me? What did I do? Selina snarled. You were the reason he fired me. He discovered I knew about you, his secret child. He said I was unreliable, that I was a threat to his perfect image. Her voice cracked with bitterness. So he destroyed me, and tonight I return the favor. Vivian shook her head. This isn't justice, this is cruelty. Selina cocked the gun. It's balance. Before she could pull the trigger, the chief lunged. A shot rang out. Screams erupted. The bullet ricocheted off a metal cabinet, grazing the chief's arm. Officers surged forward, but Selina moved with terrifying precision, firing another shot that shattered the overhead lights, plunging the hallway back into flickering semi-darkness. Seal the exits, the chief ordered, clutching his bleeding arm. But Selina had already vanished into the shadows. Chaos erupted. Officers spread out, searching the halls. Vivian turned back to Amara, who was trembling violently. Noah clung to his mother's leg, silent and pale. Mommy, he whispered, is she coming back? Vivian knelt and held his face. I won't let anything happen to you, I promise. But even Vivian wasn't sure she could keep that promise. The doctor rushed in, breathless. Mrs. Morgan, we need to move Amara to the basement safe ward. It's reinforced. The chief nodded. Yes, she's the primary target. Selina won't stop until she gets to her. Vivian touched Amara's hand gently. You're not alone, do you understand me? We'll protect you. Amara nodded weakly, tears sliding down her cheeks. Mrs. Morgan, I never wanted your family to be in danger. Vivian squeezed her hand. You are family, do you hear me? The stretcher was quickly prepared for transfer. Officers lined both sides. They began rolling her down the hall toward the elevator, but when they reached it, the doors were already open. And inside stood Selina, holding a scalpel now, sharp and gleaming. Going somewhere? She asked with a wicked smile. Everyone froze. Selina stepped out slowly. You keep running, but this ends with her. Andre's little mistake, his unfinished business. Vivian felt Noah squeeze her hand hard. The chief stepped in front of them, weapon drawn. You're outnumbered, drop the scalpel. Selina only smiled wider. Then, without warning, she grabbed a metal oxygen tank beside the elevator, slammed it into the light fixture, and sparks exploded. A fire burst instantly, blocking half the corridor. Screams filled the hall as officers scrambled to contain the sudden blaze. Smoke thickened quickly. No, 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 this can't be happening again, Vivian cried, pulling Noah close. Selina used the chaos to dart forward, straight at Amara. Vivian jumped in front of her. Selina swung the scalpel. Vivian ducked. The chief tackled Selina from behind. They crashed to the floor. The scalpel skidded across the tiles. Selena kicked the chief off and scrambled to her feet again, her eyes locked on Amara. "This isn't over," she hissed. Before anyone could reach her, she sprinted through the smoke and disappeared into a side hallway that led toward the hospital's maintenance tunnels. Officers chased after her. Vivian collapsed beside Amara, shaking. The fire alarms wailed. The lights flickered, and the nurse shouted over the chaos. "She's trying to escape through the lower wing. That wing leads directly to the emergency generator room." The chief's voice boomed through the hallway. "If she reaches that room and cuts power completely, this entire hospital will go dark." Amara whispered, horrified. "If she cuts the power, she'll trigger lockdown. No doors will open. Everyone on this floor will be trapped." Vivian stared toward the dark corridor Selena had vanished into. Her voice was a whisper of fear. "She's not trying to escape." Amara looked at her, trembling. "Then what is she trying to do?" Vivian swallowed hard. "She's trying to finish what the fire started." The fire alarms blared like angry horns as smoke crawled along the ceiling, and the flickering emergency lights turned the hospital corridor into a battlefield of shadows. Vivian tightened her grip on Noah's hand while standing protectively beside Amara's stretcher. Selena was somewhere below them, in the maintenance tunnels, heading straight for the emergency generator room. If she reached it, she could plunge the entire hospital into complete darkness and finish what the fire in the Morgan mansion had failed to do. The police chief barked urgent orders into his radio. "All units converge on the basement level. Do not let Selena reach the generator room." Officers sprinted in every direction. Sprinklers sputtered overhead, trying to tame the sudden flames. Nurses guided patients out of danger. The air was a chaos of smoke, shouts, and fear. The doctor rushed toward Vivian. "We need to move Amara now. If the power goes, the doors to the safe ward will lock automatically. We'll be trapped out here." Vivian nodded, wiped tears from her eyes, and steadied herself. "Let's go. Stay behind me." Two guards pushed Amara's stretcher, and Vivian walked beside her while holding Noah's hand tightly. The floor vibrated beneath them as alarms triggered more emergency systems. Every second felt dangerously short. As they reached the stairwell, officers were already rushing downward, their flashlights swinging wildly. Vivian paused, staring down the dark steps. "She's down there. She's really going to destroy the generator, isn't she?" The chief, sweat dripping down his forehead, replied, "If she does, backup power will fail. Elevators will freeze, doors will lock, and this fire, however small, could turn deadly." Amara whimpered softly, "Mrs. Morgan, I don't want anyone hurt because of me." What? Vivian leaned down, placing her hand on Amara's cheek. "No, this is not your fault. Selena is responsible for her own choices." Noah nodded, his voice small but determined. "Amara is my sister. We have to keep her safe." Amara's eyes filled with tears. The doctor urged, "We must move." Two guards flanked them as they maneuvered down the stairs toward the lower level. But halfway down they stopped. A booming sound echoed from below. Then darkness. The emergency lights cut off. The stairwell plunged into pitch black. Noah screamed. Vivian hugged him close. The chief cursed. She reached the side panel. She shut down the auxiliary circuits. A red glow flickered far below. A torchlight. A fire. Or Selena. The doctor held up a small emergency lamp. Its dim glow revealed the stairwell, the cracked walls, and the smoke drifting upward. "Move slowly," the chief ordered. "Selena could be anywhere." They descended another flight. Then a sudden scream tore through the basement corridor. "A nurse!" A second scream followed. Then silence. Vivian's heart nearly stopped. "We're too late," she whispered. "She's already attacking people." "Stay behind me," the chief commanded, drawing his gun. When they reached the basement corridor, the scene was chilling. A nurse lay unconscious on the floor, alive but terrified. A guard's walkie-talkie crackled near his limp body. Selena had taken his weapon. Amara shook violently, gripping the stretcher rails. She's going to destroy everything. The chief pointed to the far door. That leads to the generator room. She's in there. Vivian's eyes hardened with a resolve she never knew she had. We're going in. We have to end this. Mrs. Morgan, no, the chief protested. You have a child with you. Vivian turned to Noah, cupping his face. Stay with the doctor, don't move, no matter what happens. Noah clung to her. Mommy, don't go. She kissed his forehead. I'll be right back. But even she wasn't sure that was true. Vivian, the chief, and two officers approached the metal generator room door. Smoke seeped through the cracks. Something inside was burning already. The chief counted silently. 3, 2, 1. He kicked the door open. What they saw made Vivian gasp. Selena stood in front of the generator, wires torn out, sparks flying everywhere. Beside her lay cans of fuel she had stolen from the maintenance storage. A large spill glistened across the floor, creeping dangerously close to a sparking wire. One spark, and the entire basement would explode. Selena turned slowly, eyes glinting with pure rage. So you followed me, she said coldly. Good, now you can all burn together. Selena, stop, the chief shouted. Drop the weapon. Selena didn't drop it. Instead, she aimed the gun at Amara, who could be seen through the doorway at the end of the hall. One bullet, she said. One pull, and Andre's mistake disappears forever. Vivian reacted before she could think. She rushed forward, grabbing a fallen metal pipe. Her heart thundered, her vision blurred, but she swung the pipe with everything inside her. Clang! The pipe hit Selena's wrist, knocking the gun away. It skidded across the floor. Selena screamed in fury and lunged at Vivian, tackling her hard. They crashed against the fuel cans. Selena clawed wildly, her fingers twisting Vivian's hair. You took my life, Selena roared. I'm taking yours. Vivian struggled, gasping. The chief tried to pull Selena off, but she kicked him violently. One of the sparks jumped. A flame ignited the spilled fuel. Fire, an officer screamed. It's spreading. The flames raced across the ground toward the generator, a ticking bomb. Selena froze, staring at the spreading fire. Vivian shoved her back with a desperate burst of strength. The officers grabbed Selena, wrestled her down and cuffed her hands. The fire grew rapidly. We have to get out now, the chief shouted. Vivian sprinted toward Amara and Noah. The doctor pushed the stretcher toward the exit. The fire roared behind them, brighter, louder, spreading faster. They barely reached the stairwell before the generator exploded behind them, shaking the entire building. A wave of heat blasted up the stairwell, knocking everyone forward. Vivian shielded Noah with her body as debris rained down. Alarms screamed, people shouted, the hospital walls groaned from the impact. But somehow they survived. Firefighters swarmed the building within minutes. Officers dragged the unconscious Selena and carried her up the stairs. Amara was rushed back to the safe ward. Noah sobbed quietly, clinging to his mother. Hours later, after the chaos settled and the fire was contained, Vivian sat beside Amara's bed, exhausted, bruised, covered in soot. Amara opened her eyes slowly. Mrs. Morgan, did she succeed? Is the hospital okay? Vivian smiled weakly. Thanks to you, we knew she was coming. Thanks to you, we stopped her. Amara let out a shaky breath. Vivian took her hand gently. You saved us in ways you don't even understand, and from this moment on you are no maid, no servant, no outsider. Amara's eyes filled with tears. You are my husband's daughter. You are Noah's sister. And from today you are my personal assistant, my family. Amara covered her face and cried, not from fear this time, but from relief. Noah climbed onto the bed, hugging her. I told you, Mommy, she's meant to be with us. Vivian stroked both their heads, her heart full. The chapter, full of fire, secrets, danger, and truth, finally closed. Tomorrow would bring healing and a brand new beginning. Thank you for watching Black Race Tales. Remember, every story carries a lesson, and every lesson carries our legacy. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and share this story with someone who needs its message today. See you in the next tale.